I've lost a lot of friends. Well, a lot of people I know lately for some of my stances on things. So be it. There's a lot of dead weight gone, and I've loved it. As we talked about before, got the rear mirror. But one of the major differences that I've always, when I thought back about why did this person walk out of my life, or I didn't have to worry about them anymore, or didn't worry about me anymore, did they always say this? Did they have to have that conversation? As black men, we all know what that conversation is with the okay, when you come upon the police.
Mm-hmm. How you want to act.
My daughter's 13, my son's 9. I've kind of had it with my daughter a little bit. My son, he ain't ready to focus on any of that yet. And I dread that as a father, I still got to have this goddamn conversation with my kids.
There becomes a time
because
when
there's something like being. I was going to ask you this question: being black and white in the system. The system don't see you as half. Or mulatto.
I actually want to go back. I actually want to go back on Tony's situation because dude. When you rolled up in jail and you saw the corrections officer being thrown over,
first 15 minutes,
dog, you're gonna have to talk to me about that because I'm thinking because for me, I'd be like, what the hell did I just get myself?
Is this
into?
Oz? Am I on an episode of Oz? What's
I
going
was
on?
definitely scared. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
You should have been.
Like I
Hey,
was.
that dude,
No, you should have been.
that dude that got thrown off of that balcony did something wrong.
I wouldn't doubt it.
CO.
He
I wouldn't
did
doubt-
something.
You're talking about the CO?
Yeah,
No, I'm talking about.
No,
If
the
a-
CO
got pushed off the balcony.
No, the CO got pushed off the balcony.
CO got
That's what I was saying. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying is.
But I still believe he did something.
Well, he did something
But-
fucked up.
No inmate
So
is going to.
that goes back to the politics of things, right? So when I watched 60 Days Out, right, and there was this one guy in there.
60 days in.
60 days in, right? And there was this one guy that went to jail and did prison time, and they wanted him to go back into jail, and he had to go in there and show his dominance in there to be able to run the. You know what episode I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
believe
saw
so,
it.
Yeah.
So how does I guess you've seen a lot of people go in and out of prison,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when you see somebody that's a real alpha male coming in there, how do they, fit in?
him?
How do they fit in? No, how do they fit in with the other prisoners?
I could definitely tell you this. Like, if there's one person that's like running the block, and then another person or unit, I should say, and if another like alpha male comes in and tries to like run the TV or something like that, or the phone or whatever, there's always gonna be problems.
Yeah, somebody gonna get punished.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
It's just a given fact.
And is that how shit goes down if you have two alpha males in there just trying to run? And then,
or sometimes you have to have like a sit down. If it's comes to like gang politics, you'll have like a sit down and okay, you control this over here, you control that over there. So it varies, but if there's too many alpha males in one part or unit, there's always gonna be problems.
How did you? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So how did you navigate? Like, how did you survive? Is like really the question.
Yeah, I
like,
think
like
that-
what
yeah.
kind of
That's what I was gonna
alignments
ask,
did
too.
you have to form?
Can I ask a question? Because mine piggybacks off of that. My question is, because you're biracial, and I don't know if your mother or your father was black, but I want to know how with the politics, with you going in there, like how do you know who to go to? Because I know if you're.
Well, I asked that earlier, and he said,
I'm more of in tune to my black side than my white side.
But did you get mistreated by white people because you were, or did you not associate with them? That's what I'm trying to get more detailed in
Did I
there.
get mistreated? I mean, I've gotten into arguments with certain people, but I never really got like mistreated by white people. I would say,
good.
but I mean, I've seen it happen though. But no, I've never got mistreated by white people. No.
The
good.
best thing you can do when you're in there like that, stay in your lane, mind your business.
That's
yeah. So
yes.
tell me more about your survival tactics, right?
Okay. I'll tell you. When I got into my cell, when the guard had locked me in my cell, there was a guy in there who didn't speak no English, and I was on the top bunk, and this is maybe, I don't know what time it was. It felt like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. I can hear him scraping something on the ground.
Shank.
So I'm like, oh man, I'm sitting in the fetal position on my top bunk, like, hey man, if he stands up or something, I'm gonna just swing, do whatever I can. But I did not go to sleep the whole night.
Impossible.
The
You
whole
cannot
night.
Go to sleep, bro.
And come to find out, as soon as the doors open for morning and the chow for breakfast, he goes out first, and then I go out second, and then I come back from chow, and then the shank is sitting on my top bunk. The guy was giving me a shank because he was looking out for me.
Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he
And
was
that is-
looking out for me. Yeah,
Right. That's all.
yeah, because he knew, that I didn't speak no Spanish, or
Right.
like that, so I guess
And you were new.
yeah, and I was new, so he was looking out for me.
Yeah.
So I kept that,
So they're like, some people are, I'm going to say cool in quotes that like try to help you out. If they
Yeah.
see you as a young kid and you can align
Yeah.
yourself.
He got
Still
lucky.
really highly stressful, huh?
Was this
Yeah.
guy older than you, like a little bit?
he looked a little bit older than me. Yeah, yeah.
So he was big brother in you.
Yeah.
But he never told you he gave that to you.
He didn't speak
kinda
English.
let it
Just
up.
put nope.
just
He
put-
didn't say nothing.
He didn't
just
speak
put it up
English. I was gonna
Oh,
tell
yeah.
him.
What was this is going to be a weird question, but like in all this jail time, the best experience that you had where you felt some hope, or like maybe was there any counseling, or you had access to maybe learning something or anything
question.
good?
Good question.
I like that. Too.
Anything good?
Relatively speaking to the situation, good.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. I got a little bit of a interesting story. I had went to a church service one time. I forgot exactly where I was, but long story short, the pastor had pointed me out. I was all the way in the back. I just got sentenced to like 2 more years, I believe. I'm sitting all the way in the back, not in the best mood. And the pastor points me out. He says, "You there, son, stand up." And I looked at the guy to the right and to the left. I'm like, "He ain't talking to me, he's talking to you." You know what I'm saying? And then he's like, "No, so I'm talking to you." And then so I'm like, "Oh, so you put me on the spot."
Put you on blast.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, "Oh man, I stand up in front of all these all these people and whatnot." I'm kind of nervous and whatnot, and this man said the most incredible thing that nobody's like ever. There's no way he could have known this. Like, I called my mother, at the time and tried to figure this out, but he looked at me in my eyes and put his hand on my head, and he said, "It's okay, son. I know your father left you at the age of 5. I understand." Yeah, and that's something that I will never forget. And to this day, this guy actually became like a mentor for me.
Right. Wow.
And
That's a blessing.
yeah, it is a blessing. It definitely is a blessing. And I had
You
actually
had a couple blessings.
Yeah,
Couple
that's
blessings, bro.
like a bizarre experience, and to this day, that's actually how I found God, was going to jail.
I can dig it.
That's how I found God.
And then I'm sorry, what was the total amount of time you spent?
almost 5 years, 4 years, 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was consecutive, but moving around the different systems, right? But
Yeah.
Okay. And then now that and I don't know when you got out, but like, obviously it made your life more difficult to like rebuild your life. But
Yeah,
what have you been able to do, and how have you been able to like come back
Yeah.
and reintegrate?
I'm not gonna lie, like coming home from prison, you have all these ideas and and things like that, but when life hits you, man, that shit is
It
hard.
smacks the
man.
shit out you.
That shit is
Like you probably
hard,
come home.
man.
You
Like,
definitely coming home with ideas like I'm
Yeah.
gonna go get it. I'm gonna change it.
exactly.
But
I was all motivated, and then I believe I got out when I was like 25, I believe, and damn, like trying to find a job, with my record and just getting turned down so many times.
Yep.
And I was willing to find anything, but then when I do get a job, okay, then you got bills, and I learned a lot about life like right after I got
Yes.
released.
So how you doing now?
Actually, I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Yeah.
Should be both. You should
Yeah,
be
I got
right.
my own apartment. I got a good job. I'm living on my own right now. Doing my own things.
Good.
I have a question.
That's good.
So you said that you had a difficult time when you came home, right?
Yeah.
So do you have any friends or people that you still know from when you were in there? I mean, like that
Oh,
you.
yeah. I know a few, but to be honest, I had to disconnect myself.
There you go. You got
Well, the only
Best
had
thing in
to.
the world.
because you know what they say. You know what
I
the
had
Next
to.
question.
The biggest thing
Yeah.
about there's 2 things about that. Incarceration does not equal rehabilitation.
Well, that was
Right?
gonna be my
At all.
question.
You know what?
Is-
A lot of times they say about jail. Jail isn't a rehabilitative state. It is a criminal university, right? If you want to go in there,
You just learn to be a better criminal.
that's it.
But the thing is,
Yeah,
but
you are
Meet
exactly
better
right,
criminals.
true.
That is true.
A lot
That
of
is true.
criminals are really, really smart people that just have that don't have the
Different-
opportunity.
They got
or,
bad luck.
Well,
Different
that too.
situations or bad luck. Different
Yeah,
situations.
but I'm
or
just
bad
saying a
luck.
lot of times they don't have the opportunity, or they have knowledge but not knowledge in not they don't know the way to use their knowledge for something better. But what I was gonna say was, I think the only way that people can be rehabilitated are the people that get out, start a program or some sort of function, something to help people get to the next level. Like, I love Pitbull and Parolees because that lady, I love that show. I love pit bulls, but beside from that, I love that lady made sure that every person that has been in prison, they can get a job with her. Yes, it doesn't matter what you did, because they're good people.
Those opportunities are so far and few between.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. But we have to. Even we all have to create our own opportunities. So my point is that people that are in that situation, if I had a company, sure, I'll hire somebody. I don't care.
All right, so I'm gonna ask something because there's a little thing that Tanya has I want her read in a second, but we'll go around the room real quick.
Real quick, did you print anything on the recidivism rate? On the rate of people that go back to prison or go back to jail?
No, but
okay. We'll look it up later. Okay, that's one to ask. I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
Patricia can Google that. So
Tay, get on your JB.
So what Tanya is going to talk about in a second, and I kind of want to talk to the people that has been and experienced jail before. So Stephanie, you just real quick, you don't have to get into it too much. Your parental situation for you, like you had mom and dad available, right?
I mean, available is a subjective word, I think.
Right, so
but yeah, I had both of my parents at home until I was 15, 16. But my parents were also of the criminal background.
She come from a criminal enterprise.
My parents just never went to prison. They never went to jail. They never went to prison. My dad was actually busted once. But because it was the early 80s, my dad was given the opportunity to go back into the military. So he instead of prison, so he chose that.
All right, so Dave, parent situation.
My parents, I was with both of my parents, my grandparents too.
There you go.
You're just bad.
Actually, yeah, I was kind of bad. You know, I cut up, like you said, it was just where I lived from, where I was at. You know, gangs.
Right.
Keith.
Parents were around, but I live with my grandparents, my maternal grandparents.
But you went in for speeding tickets. Is that the only one?
Oh no!
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
Because I was gonna say that I don't think that's really the same as like Tony's situation.
No, of course not. But my point was that
how many speed tickets?
Oh, it was only 2 for real.
Habitual offender.
You can get felonies,
but it wasn't. But it wasn't. It was just I didn't pay them for years.
Right, so talk about what you have.
Okay, it says children brought up in single mother homes are 14 times more likely to commit rape, 20 times more likely to end up in prison, and 32 times more likely to run away from home.
So that's what.
That's just a messed up guy.
Family. I'm just. Reason why I printed out that one in particular, because I'm curious whether or not having a male influence in your life had any difference, like if it made any difference. You feel me?
But Pat, what if the male influence was
It's horrible.
Exactly.
It's horrible.
If the male influence is the one that's showing you how to do crime, what is the point of it?
Exactly.
So it doesn't make a difference.
If he ain't guiding you in the right
way. Nature and nurture.
Always it's even worse when the female influence is the one that's teaching you how to do it.
I think every situation is different, over there. But that's a pretty crazy statistic.
It is, but like I get it. Like the 14 times more likely to commit rape. I can see that because a lot of families that don't have a man, the woman is the man and the woman, the head of the household. So she takes on some characteristics of a man, but a woman can never be a man.
I wish they would break that statistic down more though, because I really wonder.
But I think it's there's women that are like your mom, but there's women that are like alpha women that are I've seen women talk to their sons. I'm like, how could like the way they talk to their sons? I can totally see them hating their moms, and they go out and see a woman and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get her.
And what about the moms who make the son the emotional husband, and that's where you get your serial killers from?
Exactly right.
You were pointing at.
I was just pointing. I'm wondering where they got this. I wonder if they did it like in Virginia or they did it in Detroit, Chicago.
It's probably national or something.
Because some places are just
or worse than others.
Terrible.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and then the poor mom, like we were talking about Tony's situation, right? Like, she's just trying to make sure that the kid can eat, and there's only so much you can do to keep an eye on them, right? Like, when I went to do bad stuff, you know where I went? My friends' houses with the single parent who wasn't home. You know, over at the
Yeah.
apartments where everybody's hanging out in the hallways, right?
That's
like,
exactly what my
Yeah.
house
Just
was.
look at me. I got 5 children. My youngest,
Beautiful children.
My
They
youngest
are.
is 21. So as of right now, my eyes, my mind, and my body and my soul are focused on my youngins and my grandson.
Your grandson, yeah.
Other than that, I ain't tripping off for nothing. As long as
What
they
are you
good,
telling? What are you telling them from the experiences that you had?
I'm telling them from my experience, just do right. You know what I'm saying? Do right. You don't have to go out here and do what I did. You know what I'm saying? Get a job, stay focused. That's all you have to do.
I have a question for both of you guys, and this is I'm pulling from my own experience with this, but the farther away you get from that place and that time of your life. So I'm assuming you guys went through the same like shame, guilt, embarrassment. Like when you
Embarrassment,
first
yeah.
got out, like people were like, "Oh, where were you?" And you're kind of like, you avoid the
Went on a
question.
vacation.
Oh, yeah,
I was on a
definitely, yeah.
vacation.
Right,
Well,
you avoid
if-
the question,
yeah.
but the farther away you get from it, do you carry a sense of pride? And I ask that question because prior to us doing this podcast, Pat was like, "Are you going to speak about your experience?" Because he knows he's witnessed over the last decade or so, like the shame and the guilt that I carried around, and it wasn't really until probably the last 2 years where I started feeling almost a sense of pride about what I had been through
Survivor.
because I survived it, because I
Amen.
am so far removed from that chaotic life, that chaotic situation that put me there, and I survived it. And I say that because there were so many people, so many women that I was locked up with that literally did not survive. Like they are no longer here on this earth. They fell victim to drugs, to prostitution, to they died in jail. They died at Fluvanna.
You gotta
You
have
know.
a strong
Dave,
mind.
speak. Mhm.
You definitely gotta. In this world, and if you do like running in the streets, your mind has to be strong. If you got a weak mind, you're gonna fail.
Man, them screets. Them screets.
Them
Them
screets.
screets.
Oh, I have our
And
I
they
have
will
our
call you.
I have our recidivism rate, and the U.S. has some of the highest recidivism
Yeah,
rates
oh.
in the world. According to the National Institute of Justice, almost 44% of, this says criminals, but I'll say people convicted of a crime, released return before the first year out of prison, which is interesting because that makes you think, oh, well, they're just going out and committing more crimes, but maybe it
It's
is
the probation.
The probation.
Right,
process.
probation.
And that should be a different.
Tell
Well,
us.
of course, we're going to have the highest recidivism rate because we have the highest incarceration rate in the world. So,
So
Well, no,
Don't-
but I was just reading it directly.
no.
Tony, go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Tony, did that happen to you?
No, hold on. Let's go back to what Stephanie was saying about the shame and then
Yeah, I definitely felt that as soon as I got out. Like, I been working in the kitchen for over about a decade, and when I would go to speak to these managers and whatnot, and they would say, "Oh, well, where'd you learn this from? Where'd you learn how to bake? Where'd you learn that from?" And I'll just be like, I'll make up the craziest lie. I'll be like, oh yeah, I cooked with my mom when I was a kid and did this and that, and things like that. I'm at the stage right now where I definitely am, I guess I should say, like, prideful of my life from what I've been through. At my life right now, I'm about 33 years old, almost 34. So I now that I think back at all of what I went through, like I do carry a lot of pride with that because I,
Oh,
You
say,
have to.
say, well, it's almost
As you should.
It's almost
You
a
have
function
to,
of
baby.
survival too. Like
Yeah.
you're saying, I can't tell you that I learned this in prison because I need this job to feed myself.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
So
yeah.
So I have a question. Do you or have you or would you ever go back to not necessarily where you were at, but any prison and just like speak on it, like speak on where you're at now and the things that you had to do to get to
Yeah.
where you are to help the next person?
Actually, I would love to speak about that. Actually, when I was really, believe it or not, society is crazy. I had tried to become like a big brother in my community where I'm from in Manassas, and
We're nasty.
I spoke to 7 different people about it, and they were judging me off of my record.
Really?
Yes, and I was shocked. Like I couldn't believe it, like because they seen me as this violent gang member, in the streets. The Prince William County area had known me. you know. And
So maybe you need to go to some other place that's more neutral. Because
Yeah.
even if it's not in
Let me tell you
sometimes you
something.
can't go to the place where you come from. You have to go to a different place
If you're in
Yeah.
the
to
Commonwealth,
not just elevate them, but to elevate yourself. No, but I'm just saying,
Absolutely.
if he goes to some place like, I don't want to say Fredericksburg, but south of Richmond, let's say, you don't really know anybody there.
South Don't go
Richmond.
down
Hey,
there.
I got a
People
story
do
about
red-
Southside.
red
Richmond.
onion,
Yeah.
red.
Don't go down
Don't
there.
go near.
Okay.
Don't go down
Hey,
there.
look,
All right,
Yeah.
Dartmouth,
Petersburg,
Camden.
stay away from
Don't go near the red onion.
Tie border ain't.
Don't stay
ain't
about
that's
that.
how Richmond
Okay,
is.
Maryland. I'm trying to help y'all.
We don't belong in Taiwan. If
No,
you're
we
from
don't.
Virginia or DC or Maryland, don't go to Taiwan.
Don't cross that bridge.
Haran, you had something?
Hey Tony, so I got a question. All right, so how long you said how long did you do?
4 years, 8 months.
4 years, 8 months. I guess it may not pertain too much, but all right. So what year did you go in?
Let me see. 2009.
So 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 2014. Have you noticed, like, when you were in, you had no access to any type of, devices or anything. So when you got out, did you find it hard to acclimate with technology,
You see the
cell
smile.
phones,
You see the
FaceTime when you
smile.
come out? You're like, oh, man, how do I, what's, you know
About
what I'm saying?
Facebook?
Tell me about how.
The
I'm
Tinder
gonna-
profile.
I'm gonna speak on FaceTime.
Okay.
My